is Harris from BoardGameGeek. I'm here with Zeb from WizKids, and we're going to be taking a look at Ultra Deluxe 2D Arcade Mega Fighter. What a title! How are you doing today, Zeb?
I'm well. How are you, Candace?
Pretty good. Can you tell us what Ultra Deluxe 2D Arcade Mega Fighter is all about?
If you want, you could call it UD2D for short. That's what we use in the office.
Okay, cool.
It's a game. It's a two-player game, card-based. It focuses on the team arcade type fighting games, a 3x3 or 3v3 type duel, and that means each player will draft 3 different fighters. And one will be their frontline fighters, and the other 2 will be their sideline fighters. Yep, you have them set up perfectly. So your frontline fighters are there, and the sideline fighters are underneath it. And you are playing until you KO all 3 of an opponent's fighters.
Okay.
I see you have different piles here. The stars above are the super tokens. Super tokens are used for several things, including activating your ultimate attack. Each fighter has an ultimate attack, which has a yellow bar. It's like the third attack on each fighter's line. Then you have, yep, absolutely. So in that one, the Mecha Pope has that attack there. And you can see that it's 2 button colors, a yellow and a red, and 4 super tokens. So that's how you would activate that card, that attack. You have swap tokens underneath the super tokens. Those are the blue tokens there. Those allow you to swap fighters freely from the front line to the sideline. So that's a nice way to get a fresh fighter back into the fray and use some of their attacks if you're able to. And then, of course, on the right, you have loads of piles of damage counters in 1s and 3s. Each fighter, as you can see, will go quickly. Yep, a little fist over there. Each fighter has hit point value, so obviously you need to do that much damage before that fighter is KO'd. And each fighter has 3 attacks. So you'll see the 1, 2, and 3 attacks, and you'll see the name of the attack and the button colors that you need to activate the attack. So the first one there, the Frankfurterer, in order to activate his weenie gun attack, you need a blue card and a yellow card. And it tells you you'll do 2 damage to a frontline fighter, and you get to draw a card. So some attacks also have an ability, have an extra effect. Then after the 3 attacks, you see their abilities. Every fighter has 2 abilities, and they're usually in green or purple or blue. Green usually means it's ongoing and it's a trigger, so it activates when something takes place. Purple usually means it should mean only on an opponent's turn, and then blue means on your turn. You can activate it, and these usually also cost super tokens. So that's another reason why you want to gain super tokens in order to activate certain abilities. Also, certain abilities, like Lali over there, is only her cookie cutter ability is only active when she's in the front line. So she has to be that first fighter in order to activate that ability. So that's a breakdown of the fighters there.
I love all the flavor and the artwork.
All right.
I was saying I love all the flavor and the artwork and how there are buttons to activate different abilities. That's really cool.
Oh, thank you. Yes. I think we find it's very humorous, and I know comedy is subjective, but we find it very funny. Not only the names of the characters, but also the names of the attacks and everything. Like you'll see the Pogorilla on the top right there. You have a Lali, you have Frankfurterer, the Mecha Pope, and so on. Yeah, the Pogorilla. So you have a gorilla on a pogo stick. So yeah, just cute art. Also a little pixelated, again, to show that arcade, to give that arcade feel, to immerse you a little bit. The last component is the deck of cards in the middle, and those are your button cards. So you will have a hand of button cards. They represent blue, yellow, and red. Some of them are single color. And usually when you play them, they give you a little bonus after it, like that one there, that red one there tells you, it gives you a swap token. So if you play that, you get a swap token. The card to the left of it can be used as either red or yellow button. So either way, you just orient it the way you wish. And then there are some cards that have a shield, which is a block. So that's a way to play during an opponent's turn. When damage comes in, you could play such a card and block that much damage coming in.
Okay.
So those are the types of cards that you have. In the game, there are 5 different actions, and you can perform 3 actions. The main action is you can start a combo. Starting a combo means you're going to play 2 cards, and obviously you're going to use that to make an attack. So you want to play 2 cards that will be able to activate the attack of your frontline fighter. But you don't have to start with a start combo. If for some reason the cards don't work in your hand, but they work for the frontline fighter, but someone for the sideline fighter, one of the actions is swap fighters. So you can immediately say, okay, action 1, I'll swap a fighter and I'll move a sideline fighter to the front line, and then maybe I'll start a combo. But the other actions you can do are taunt. Taunt means you can draw, you can get 3 super tokens, and then there's draw. Draw means you can draw a card, a button card. Okay. So that will help you. There's no hand size limit, so you can use that to to hopefully activate some sort of an attack. And I might be wrong with the hand size limit, but it's pretty high. It's like 7 or 10 cards or so.
Gotcha.
And when you taunt, you gain 2 super tokens. So that's a way to also gain super tokens. When you play a combo, so you have a blue and a yellow there, you would activate the ability. You would do damage to where it tells you. Usually it's a frontline fighter. You put damage on the character, on the frontline fighter. Yep. Damage is cumulative unless you find a way to heal it. So if the frontline fighter ever moves to the back, the damage will stay with that fighter. So until you can heal it, and some characters have the ability to heal, that's how you'd be able to do that. So let's say you have a start combo there. So the big important thing is you can do a string combo. String combo means from a previous start combo, you can play 1 card, and you would utilize the card previous played. In this case, it's a yellow. If you use that yellow and then key it with another card, that can activate another attack. So we're looking at the Frankfurterer, so that's actually perfect. So blue and yellow activates the weenie gun. If you're able to play a red card, yep, you had one in your hand there. So you're going to say my second action is string combo. So now it's yellow-red, and I can play the Kraut Bomb. And the Kraut Bomb allows me to do 1 damage to a frontline fighter, and I can deal 1 damage to each opposing sideline fighter. So it's pretty cool. I'm able to do that extra damage to the sideline fighters. So you can see there are effects that can target the sideline fighters. And some attacks only affect the sideline fighter, and of course some only affect the frontline fighter.
And then
so that's 2 actions. As a third action, you could string combo again. So if there's a way to key off that red with something, with another card, you can do it. And of course there are some free actions. For example, the swap tokens. If you need to swap something, and say, oh man, but that's my third action, you could say, oh, I got a swap token, so I'll use that to swap, and then play a new, put a new fighter in the front, and then hopefully be able to string combo again and use the red from the previous play with a new card and activate a new attack.
Cool. And
so
then
with the 3 actions, I'm sorry?
I was just going to say, with the string combo, are you always just using the previously played card, or could you use the previously 2 played cards?
No, because button combos are always 2 cards, so it's always the previously played card. So the immediately previously played card.
Oh, I got you. I thought I was seeing 3 on one of them.
Yeah, so you couldn't go all the way back and say, oh, I want to use that blue that was the first card played. No, it can only be the next card behind it. So
but
that's how you would
string
combo.
Somebody and string off. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's a way to activate more attacks but play less cards to do so. Because start a combo requires 2 cards, but a string combo only requires 1 more card to do it, and then another string combo, 1 more card. So if you were successful with those 4 cards, you could have 3 attacks go off, which is not bad. As a quick thing, another way to gain super tokens is when the opposing fighter takes damage, as a compensation, the opponent would gain a super token. So even you're getting hit, you're always getting at least a super token from that attack. The only time you don't get one is if you play a block card, whether you've successfully or completely blocked all the damage or not. Once you play a block card, you don't get a super token from that attack.
Okay. Do you think, I think we have about... Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No,
You were
no, no.
going to
I was
say
just
about
going
how
to
many.
end it by saying that. So you do your 3 actions, your opponent does 3 actions, and it just goes back and forth like that until all 3 fighters are KO'd. There are reactions where sometimes when a fighter is KO'd, sometimes it triggers some other ability, or I think even Pogorilla, I believe, can do more damage for the more KO'd characters there are. And then you play until all 3 characters of a player are KO'd. It's a relatively fast game, about 30 to 40 minutes or so, but very simple in terms of what you're doing.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, we have a few minutes. Maybe we could walk through a turn, like 2 turns or something.
Let's do that. That'd be great. Yeah, I love the Tyrannosaurus. It's kind of funny. Yeah, they're really funny cards.
And do each of the main fighters have, you might have mentioned this earlier, have specified backups, or can you choose which backup fighters? Like, do you have flexibility there?
You draft. You do a draft of 3 fighters. So there's 15 fighters in the game, and you would draft cards. So you put out a line of fighters there. I mean, of course, you could choose anyway, but usually, yeah, we say in the rules it is a draft. Usually, it's like the first player drafts 1 fighter, the second player drafts 2 fighters, then everyone drafts 2 fighters until the last one is taken by the second player.
Okay, cool.
So and there is definitely synergy.
Okay, yeah. Would a player start their turn by drawing 5 cards, or?
You start with 5 cards in your hand.
Okay.
So you already have a hand of cards. You have 5 cards.
All right.
Yep, and it's any 5 cards. Yep. And then you draft the fighters. You may, I guess, you can look at your hand to see what colors you have in your hand, so that it may help you in your choice on what to draft, because you could say, oh, I can immediately play, I can immediately do this attack. But usually with 5 cards, I mean, unless you draw like all of the same color or something, you're probably going to be able to do something, because you could choose which card will be your frontline fighter and which will be your sideline fighters.
Okay, cool. So Nikki has chosen based on her hand.
All right, yeah, so I see Count, it's not zoomed enough, but I think I see Count Bloodbeard in the front line there, Frank Furterer on the left, and Mecha Pope on the right there. Yeah, so Count Bloodbeard there. Okay.
All right, and what do you have in your hand for buttons, Nikki?
Oh, hey, Nikki.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. All right, 2 reds activates the first attack by Count Bloodbeard. So you would do the damage there. So it says 2 damage. You're doing swab the neck. 2 damage to a frontline fighter, and your next attack does +2 damage. So are you able to string a combo there? So look at it this way. If you look at the rest of the Count Bloodbeard, he doesn't have another attack that starts with a red there. He has a Plunder Bite, which is blue-red, and a Suck You Blunderbuss, which is yellow-red. So in order to do a string combo, you're going to want to be able to swap a fighter that has a red beginning attack, and then you could play the follow-up color. So you would use your second action to swap one of your other fighters there. Not Frank Furterer. Let's see if Mecha Pope. I have to do. No, actually, so you drafted where the 2 reds would not help you, because you have no other attack that starts with a red from the other 2 fighters there. So you would use your other 2 actions to either taunt, or you could start another combo. If you start another combo, you can get rid of those 2 and play 2 other cards if you wish. So that is an action you can do as well. So if you happen to like Count Bloodbeard and have, let's say, yellow-red, but you would need 4 super tokens as well. If you happen to have that, you'd be able to do his special attack, but you don't start with any, so you wouldn't be able to do it. So you might want to swap a fighter and then play that yellow-red to use, let's say, the Kraut Bomb from Frank Furterer, for example. So you could do swap fighter as your second action, and then play yellow-red and activate the Kraut Bomb. And that would do 1 damage to the frontline fighter and 1 damage to each of the sideline fighters.
Nice.
And then that would be your 3 actions. So you did a start combo, swap fighter, start combo. So those were the 3 actions. So you would be done for the turn, and then the opponent would go.
And she would draw back to 5 cards then?
Yeah, when you perform, you draw 3 button cards at the end of your turn. So you don't draw back to 5,
right.
you just draw 3
draw
cards.
3 at the end of every turn. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Yeah.
And remember,
let's
one of
try
the actions is draw, so you could have drawn even during the turn. You would draw 1 card from the button deck, but super tokens can also be expended to draw extra cards.
Oh, cool.
And in this case, it would be 1 super token for 1 extra card. So in a draw action, you can draw 1 card or spend the super token and draw 2 cards for that action.
Gotcha.
So that's a way to also, get your hand ready for hopefully the next killer turn. Make it a really big attacking thing, especially if you have super tokens, so that you can activate ultimate attacks. And then again, yes, you have the draw phase at the end, in which case you draw 3 cards.
Okay, and then so it looks like Nikki's throwing a yellow-red button for set. Is that set giggles?
Are you playing as the other character there? Yeah, so Sergeant Giggles.
Oh, Sergeant.
So you would play red yellow. Actually, would be his first the first attack there, because he doesn't have a yellow red attack. So he has a balloon grenade, which means you do 2 damage to the frontline fighter, which in this case would be Frankfurterer, and you deal 2 damage to an opposing sideline fighter. So you could do 2 damage to either one of the sideline fighters there. Correct, absolutely. And then you can continue. So let's assume if you had super tokens and a blue, you'd be able to activate the C4 pie throw, for example.
Oh.
So that would be a way to string a combo there if you wanted to. Yes. So let's say you had that and 4 super tokens. You would do this, and you'd spend 2 super tokens for that. You would do 6 damage to the frontline fighter. And it does say if the attack is blocked, you would gain 2 super tokens. So if the opponent threw a blocking card, you would actually gain 2 super tokens as part of your effect. And again, a block, you can use any amount of block cards. So you can, if you have a handful of block cards, you can mitigate that whole 6 damage, but you can also mitigate part of it as well. But again, as soon as you play a block card, you don't get a super token as compensation for the attack.
Oh, okay.
So in that case, with a 2, you would only take 4 damage for Frankfurterer. And you would not gain a super token for playing the block card.
Gotcha. Cool.
And that was, 2 actions? So you have a 3rd action, if you wish, for Sergeant Giggles or your team. So you could swap fighter to prepare for next turn. If you have another, so let's see, Sergeant Giggles. So Sergeant Giggles does not have a blue starting attack. So you would have to either swap a fighter for free because you've already used 2 actions if you wanted to continue this turn, or that would be your 3rd action to just swap fighter. But if you had a swap token, you could do Shark Fist. I love Shark Fist. So if you can see, Shark Fist has, I believe, 2 attacks that start with a blue. You have the Jabberjaw and the Fish Hook. So if you had another blue or a red, you'd be able to activate one of those attacks. And that's if you brought them to the front and so on.
Awesome.
All right, so you did a Fish Hook. So a Fish Hook would be 2 damage to the frontline fighter, and then you can deal 1 damage to an opposing sideline fighter. And opponent must swap that fighter to the front line. So the fighter that gets damaged automatically moves to the front line. So you can see there are ways to force a switch as well. Some of that. So yeah, there are a lot of different effects there. And of course, we didn't go into the abilities. For example, a Sucker Munch for Shark Fist. If you spend 2 super tokens, your next attack is unblockable. So in that way, you'd not have to worry about an opponent playing a blocking card. You'd be able to Sucker Munch them with your next attack.
That's great.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. This is hilarious.
I'm glad to see and hear you laughing. Thank you.
Yeah, it's great. How many different characters did you say there are? Different fighters?
15.
15. Okay. So
50,
you'll
15, yes.
mix and match all sorts of different combos here.
Yeah,
That's
and
great.
they all work differently, synergistically. So any 3 that you have would work differently than a different 3. Even if you had one the same and 2 other different ones, they'd all work very, very differently.
Cool.
Yeah.
And has this been released? Has this been released yet? Is it available? Where can people get it?
Yes. Yeah, it is released. We absolutely encourage people to shop local if you can, obviously because of things that are going on. We do have an e-com site, shop.whizkids.com. You can buy it online on our site as well. But definitely shop local if you can.
I am loving these.
Plenty in carrots.
Well, thank you so much, Zeb, for showing us Ultra Deluxe 2D Arcade Mega Fighter, or what did you say, UD2D?
UD2D.